On the menu today, we got a French round enclosed savory pie from Julia Child, of course.
Ah! Bon appétit.
Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue. Welcome back to my home. Pull up a seat, stay a while, get comfortable. My home is yours, sort of thing. But just until the end of this video, then you're gonna have to go. Let's not make it awkward. Anyway, Julia Child and Company. And in this book, I have found a recipe that I gotta make. Here we are, ham pithiviers. It's a puff pastry tart with ham filling. I saw that image there and I was like, all right, that's how I want to spend the rest of my day. If you've heard me say the word pithiviers before, you are correct. I made one last year and it was more of like a sweet dessert kind of thing to it, had an almond cream filling. It was to die for, where this one has the ham. And Julia and boiled ham, I swear, every recipe. But this thing can be sweet or savory. That's the wonderful thing about a pithiviers. If you have company, you can even hide a little trinket, a charm, a bean inside the pithiviers. And when you're serving it out to your guests, whoever the lucky one is that finds the surprise is king or queen for the day. I'm sure it's a gas. We're not doing that though. Let's get to work. Let's start off with making the puff pastry. And this isn't gonna be like the classical French way of making it where, you know, it takes all day. You gotta roll it, you gotta fold it, you gotta chill it, you gotta keep repeating the process. Julia says that's gonna take like 3 or 4 times longer than what we're about to do. We're making a fast French puff pastry. That sounds more my speed. Anyway, this butter needs to stay chill, so less talking, more making. Let me go fetch a friend. That would be my very best friend, the Silver Fox. Silver Fox, so I don't have to use a stand mixer. You could use your hands easily. All I'm doing is an initial mix. But Julia's given me the option and she's using one in the photo there, so I was like, okay, I gotta be like Julia. She's got a blue one. 3 cups, 420 grams of all-purpose flour. That is American all-purpose flour. I'm only saying that because Julia is making a note here that if I am using American all-purpose instead of European, it has a relatively high gluten content and the dough can become rubbery and refuse to roll out. Hence why I'm using 1 cup, 140 grams of cake flour. The cake flour lowers the gluten content and makes the dough easier to handle. Fun facts. Yeah, I just put the butter back in the fridge because I couldn't stop yapping and I was like, all right, this needs to stay chill. And then check out this towering inferno right here. This is 6.5 sticks of butter, 735 grams or 26 ounces. There's one thing I forgot to mention. I should mention it really quickly while the butter is still staying cool. I'm using Irish butter, which looks like this. It's like 1.5 boxes of that. Now, when it comes to pastry, Irish or European is better than American because it has a higher fat content. I did a test once, check it out. Here's the American butter. That's the European butter. It stayed smooth and consistent. This stuff's all kind of like crumbly. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I should have put that in with the flour, but I forgot. All right, so I gotta blend the flour and the butter together. And since I'm going by machine, the butter has to be roughly broken up, but stay in lumps the size of large lima beans. This is 1 cup of uber chilled water. Blend in the water, mixing just enough. Start with that. I don't think this will take long. So that was just enough water so that the dough masses together, but the butter remains the same size. When in doubt, I just look at the photos in the recipe because it's gotta match what she has, and it does. That recipe is very helpful. Anyway, thank you very much. Let's take a quick coffee break here so I can thank the sponsor of this video, Trade. I think this is my personal favorite subscription service because it delivers fresh coffee as often as you require. For me, that's all the time. When I see that signature red bag waiting for me at the door, everything is all right. For a moment there. Trade is what you need to have the coffee experience at home because they curate the world's best coffees all in one place. They brew, they taste, and if they like it, it makes the site. Like this one from Highwire, Dark Room, because I need a dark roast, and this is everything that I want it to be. It's bold and beautiful. And some like it hot. or cold, or both. When you're subscribed, you're matched with hot or cold coffees tailored to your unique tastes. Trade's new cold coffee collection is the ideal way to enjoy coffee in the summer. On a hot day, it's a cold brew. I get this ready the day before in the super slick ovalware, steep overnight, remove grinds, and voila. Trade's pretty confident that you're gonna love your experience and are offering 30% off your first month. So visit drinktrade.com/antichef to try it out. Thank you, Trade. Coffee break nearly over. That dough onto the surface here. The only thing I gotta keep remembering is that the butter needs to be cool. Everything else is secondary. Using my hands, like the tips of my fingers, rapidly push and pat and roll out into a rectangle around 18 inches long. Lightly flour the surface. I'm gonna flip one end into the center, flip the second into a business letter shape. Lift it off the surface, lightly flour some more. The top flap has gotta be at my right, confirmed, okay. Lightly flour the top of the dough. Based on the photos, I think she's using a rolling pin for this next part, so I shall too. Now I gotta get this into another rectangle, 18 inches long. Butter needs to stay cool, so act fast. One, and then the bottom over that. Roll and fold out 2 more times. She says it's gonna get messy, so just embrace it. Okay, maybe just use your hands instead of the rolling pin for that. Just act fast, you little punk. Once, twice. That's the third turn. Roll and fold number 4. Fantastic. Whew. Okay, I had to act fast there because the butter was melting. So into the fridge for 40 minutes or longer. Maybe longer. The difference with this and the puff pastry that I've made in the past, with the other one you have a butter mass, right? You like flatten it and it's this big butter mass, and then you add it into the flour and you fold it and roll it that way, where we use the food processor to break the butter up into these lima bean chunks, and the butter warmed up quicker, and then I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, and I was talking too much, and in the end it looked nothing like a puff pastry that I've worked with in the past. So I'm hoping now that I've had this in the fridge for a few hours, it has firmed up to something that's gonna be a little better to work with, and I can roll and fold this into the puff pastry it needs to be. Does that all make sense? So keep everything floured and don't let the butter get too sticky. Into a rectangle once again. Butter was in the fridge for that long and it's still starting to get a bit warm. I can't get over this butter, man. Maybe I just don't like this method of making puff pastry because the butter warms up way too quickly this way. Or is it just me? It's probably just me. This dough gets too sticky too damn fast. It's only been on the counter for minutes. It was in the fridge for hours. Now I'm trying a different rolling pin and this one seems to work much better. So what the hell am I doing? Is it something with this rolling pin? It's got like the smooth surface and I guess the dough sticks to it. This one here has a rougher wood feel to it and nothing is sticking to it. So I'm looking for 18 inches long. Fold it into the center and then fold the bottom over top, a little flour on top, the edge of the fold to my right, and now we roll out into another rectangle. Oh my God, look at the improvement. And chill it. This rolling pin is fairly new in my arsenal. I only bought it about a year ago, and when I got it, I switched completely over to this one and abandoned this. And none of my pastries have been turning out recently. The butter warms up way too fast, everything sticks to this. Now I know why. I feel like this is for like French bread or something. I don't know why I have that. This saved me today, and I'm hoping that I've rescued my pastry in time. Hallelujah. Let's move on to our ham filling. So I have a 6-ounce, 180-gram slice of the best quality boiled ham I could find. and I'm cutting it up into irregular slices, she says, 1 by 1 inches. That being said, I am kind of gonna follow my heart here because I think that something a bit smaller will work for my Pithiviers. And I gotta mince up a shallot. Two tablespoons of butter on a medium heat. In goes the ham, and 2 tablespoons of the minced shallots. Just need to heat that thoroughly. It's not gonna take long. Small bowl, please. Thank you. 2 egg yolks, 1/4 cup, 75 mils of heavy cream. To beat that together, we bring this back over here and, all right, so I'm gonna stir this mixture in with the ham, along with a couple hoots of Worcestershire sauce, a couple drops. And she says, a couple drops of hot pepper sauce. How about Tabasco sauce? I'm gonna have to go get that lid in a second. Drops, a couple drops. Yeah, you like it spicy. And freshly ground black pepper. Put that back on the heat, on a low heat. Fold the ham into the sauce. It has to thicken, but it can't boil. That would be no good. So just keeping my eye on this, watching the minutes go by. I'd say around 10 minutes, but we got there. Take it off of heat. I just lost all that footage. So let me explain everything that has just taken place the last half an hour or so. Because this camera just unplugged, I lost all the footage. So is this camera on? Please tell me yes it is. Great. That means that I can show you everything that has just taken place. All right, so I took the dough out of the fridge and rolled it out into an 18 by 9 inch rectangle. Took a little bit of time, the butter was softening up, but we persevered. And then I split the dough into thirds because I only need 2/3 of the recipe. So I put 2/3 into the fridge to chill, and then the other third is gonna be my bottom piece. So I rolled that out into a 12-inch square. And then I took this pie dish, which is 9 inches in diameter, and I traced around it with a knife, and then I removed the excess dough, and boom, I have a 9-inch circle, which is gonna be my bottom piece, in the fridge, chilling out. It's on a pizza pan. Before I forget, I wanna mention one thing. I've never had so many problems making puff pastry before. Believe it or not, in all these years, I've followed along to different methods, and things have gone smoother than how they have today with Julia's fast French puff pastry. I feel like every time I take that dough out of the fridge, the butter doesn't give me enough time to do anything. It just starts softening up and gets all sticky, and we got this. I got the 2 other thirds of dough here. I might not need all of it, but I got it. And it's in pretty rough shape right now. It's in pretty rough shape right now because that damn butter. So it needs to be a 1/4 inch thick or bust because it needs enough thickness to puff up dramatically. The microphone was not on the entire time. What the hell is going on, Jamie? Be a professional. So yeah, now I guess I'll just tell you everything I just did again. I rolled out this other piece of dough into a 1/4 inch thick, and then I cut out another 9-inch circle out of that. And then I had a couple issues because it wasn't on parchment paper, didn't learn a lesson. I put it on parchment paper, kind of pieced it back together again, made it look relatively nice. That goes into the fridge along with the spare pieces. And this time, I'm gonna make sure that I stop recording the audio, peel this off the parchment paper. Oh, look at that disc. And that goes on to my pizza pan. He shoots, scores, easy shot. All right, so we gotta make this into an even bigger circle, so I just gotta push and pat it with the balls of my fingers. So with a fork, I'm just gonna prick the bottom of this dough with 1/2-inch intervals. That's gonna keep the bottom layer from rising up. So I'm gonna take the filling, which has cooled completely, and I'm gonna form a little bit of a circle in the center of this dough. The fridge, then come back over here. You know the routine. And now I'm gonna grate up some Parmesan Reggiano. I'm gonna grate up around 6 tablespoons worth, as Julia requests too, freshly grated. And then I'm gonna sprinkle in a couple tablespoons of the parm, the filling again. A couple more tablespoons of parm, you get the gist, right? Just kind of, it's important to leave around 2 inches of a border around the ham filling. Paint the border of dough with cold water and then immediately center top layer in place. Get it attached to the bottom layer and then stretch it if necessary. In the center of the dough, just make a little bit of that's just our little vent right there, 1/8 inch wide. That will allow the steam to escape while it's baking. Then with the balls of your first 3 fingers, firmly press the 2 pieces of dough in place all around. I think it's a good idea to chill it again. We're back. Bowl. Thank you. The bowl over top, I'm going to use that as a guide. So cut 2-inch wide scallops all around the circumference. Scallops. Now I got to just decorate with the back of a knife these upright lines. I got an egg mixed with a teaspoon of water, and that's going to be my egg wash. So we can remove the bowl. Looks like a volcano, looks like a boob. Great. Paint the surface with an egg wash. I'm just doing this right before I put this in the oven too. All right, with a small knife, I gotta cut these decorative lines 1/16 of an inch deep. Kind of went off book there with the decorating because I was like looking at her finished product and it's really puffed up. I'm hoping for mine to do the same. So I'm hoping that this really just inspires some sort of like cool pattern on the top with my avant-garde kind of decorative kind of thing here. 450 degrees Fahrenheit oven, lower middle rack to start. We're gonna check on it in 20 minutes. All right, this isn't working, I'm aborting. Abort the mission. Do you want the bad news or the really bad news? They're one and the same, I think. That is atrocious. Okay, so there's been something wrong with this fast French puff pastry since the beginning. I should never have used the silver fox. From that point, something was wrong, and I knew it, but I had already put all my eggs in one basket, well, all the butter into one piece of dough, and that's expensive butter, so I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'm all in at this point. And I thought I could recover, and then there was something with the... So it's been a day. That just freaking exploded. I honestly didn't even know that was possible. Like, what the hell is going on? It's just... So it's time to come clean. I've been living a double life today. While that first puff pastry was chilling in the fridge, I made a backup. You know, I'm spending a whole day doing this. So while I've been waiting around, you thought I was doing nothing. But there's a caveat to that. The same problems I encountered with the first dough, with the butter just getting too soft and just something wasn't working, that happened here as well. So there could be more of the same headed our way, or there could be a, I don't know, a new horizon. So what I'm gonna do is shut the hell up, put this back into the fridge, because I have more to say. I have all the ingredients to make a second Pithiviers, except for the ham. And that's why I went dumpster diving into that other Pithiviers, the failed one, is to scrounge up the boiled ham. And then I rinsed it off. So I basically got rid of anything that was like sticking to it for the most part. It's boiled ham. I mean, what else can you do with it? It's already cooked. I took a taste test, it tastes exactly the same. All right, so that's my story. I'm going to do everything that you just witnessed all over again. Oh, for the love of... Oh my God. I'm just like, should I go to the store, get more butter, make this again? Are you serious? What in the hell is happening here? It's gonna share the same fate as the first one. In fact, it's probably even worse. All the butter, and I mean all of the butter, has melted out of the pastry. At least with the first try, I could attempt to pick it up. But this one, I don't even know what's going on. I didn't bake it the whole time in the oven, because what's the point? Welcome to my own little personal hell. Welcome back to the show. It's a week later. I kid you not. About 3/4 of the way through this video, and I feel like I need some sort of conclusion, right? You know, we want to end on a high note. That's always the goal, but it's not looking good right now. So this is the recipe I've been following, the ham Pithiviers with this stupid fast French puff pastry recipe that I just couldn't figure out. I'm gonna abandon that because it's not working. It's not for me. And I think what would be best, because I've had success with puff pastries before, is just doing it a more traditional way. Now Julia, in this cookbook here, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, the sequel. She's got a few puff pastry recipes in this cookbook. The simple puff pastry, the mock puff pastry. I've made this one before successfully, a few times now, and it could take around 3 to 4 hours. The thing is, you've already seen me make this one before, so it's just like, yeah, not necessarily making compelling television here with reruns, right? So I'm thinking, why don't I attempt this classic French puff pastry? It's gonna take around double the amount of time, 6 to 7 hours, so that's sweet. But I wanna make a ham Pithiviers, and I wanna do it right. I love the smell of puff pastry in the morning. Actually, I do. So I'm gonna start off with a big bowl here. It needs to be ice cold, as if it's been in the freezer for the past hour. Can you provide me with that? Yes, that's freezing. 2 3/4 cup or 344 grams of all-purpose flour. This is 3/4 cup, 84 grams of cake flour. So you give that a quick stir. So blend the two flours together, then I'm gonna remove around half a cup and reserve. So I got my butter here. It is very chilled and it's been cut up into 1/4-inch pieces. 3/4 stick, 3 ounces of chilled unsalted butter. And then with this right here, my pastry cutter, frickin' love this thing. While the butter and the bowl are chilled, let's act fast, cutting the butter into the flour. She says, as if you're making a pie dough. Well, I've been suffering with those lately. Okay, so that's cut up. Okay. This is 1 1/8 cup of ice cold water with a couple ice cubes in there. Add 2 teaspoons of salt. I don't know. Sure, it works. Mix it with your knife. Blend this into the flour and butter mixture. This step makes me nervous. Don't use all of it, just... All right, now with my rubber spatula, blend it into a mass. Okay, I think I'm gonna need all that water. All right, so I'm going to lift the dough up. So 1 1/8 cup of iced water, that's what I did, plus a few droplets more if you need. Well, I didn't need more, so I gotta press the dough firmly and rapidly into a rough cushion shape, but the consistency should be pliable, not at all damp and sticky. This is very damp from all the water you just had me add, Jules. Press firmly and rapidly into a cushion shape. It has to be pliable, not at all damp or sticky, she says. You know what? I have a little reserved flour off to the side. I know I'm supposed to save a lot of it for the next step, but I need it now. No, it's not sticky. It's not damp. I think let's just stop playing around with it. She says sprinkle lightly with flour. And get it into some wax paper or parchment paper. This is just firm the dough and relax the gluten. It's gonna take around 40 minutes in the fridge. I should mention that Julia recommends using a marble rolling pin and a marble surface when you're working with this kind of pastry. And duly noted, down the road, maybe one day I'll invest in that, but for now, this is what I got, this is what I got. So obviously the benefit of the marble is that it stays cool while you're working with the dough, so that's a bonus, so everything stays cool. So in a perfect world, that's what you work with. All right. So I'm still working with that Irish butter. I got this right here, I got way more of it in the fridge in case this goes south. Well, if it goes south, then I'm just gonna cry. Anyway, now this butter is Kerrygold. It's the Irish stuff. It's good stuff, but it's expensive where I live. So the budget for this particular episode is through the roof. 3 sticks, 12 ounces of chilled unsalted butter. Beat the butter with the rolling pin to soften it. Smear it out with the heel of your hand, not the palm, heel. When partially softened, work in the flour, that reserved flour from earlier. So with the heel. Just fantastic. Sometimes it's very difficult to look myself in the mirror in the morning. I don't really know what I was thinking there, but I guess I gotta work that in with my palm. Butter must be absolutely smooth and supple, yet still cold. Form this into a 5-inch square. Place it over there. Roll this into a circle, 12 to 13 inches in diameter. Yeah, just move your little tush. Honestly, that was easy. Butter goes into the center. The edges of the dough over the butter, but being very careful not to stretch the dough because you want it to have a uniform thickness at the sides of the square. Good point, Julia. Don't stretch the dough, you want uniform thickness. You got this, you got this. There, that's good. Nice little package. Seal the edges, press the dough well together. Dough's gonna look rough, even as it should. Yep. Your object is to roll the package out into a rectangle, extending the butter the whole length. Okay, just move fast, man. Just make sure that there's dough on the top and the bottom of this son of a bitch. Rapidly roll it out into a rectangle, 16 inches by 8 inches long. Okay, that's good. That's not even close. Okay, cool. Let her fold again. So we gotta fold it in 3, and then second. So rotate it so that the flap is to the right, and then we do the exact same thing again. Roll it into a rectangle. So again, let's do that letter fold one more time. Press 2 depressions in the top of the dough with the ball ends, not the nails of your fingers. So we will remember that we have made 2 turns. Wrap that up in parchment paper. I'm gonna have this chill in the fridge for like an hour. Now we don't wanna have that dough in the fridge for too long, because the butter is going to firm up and congeal up, and you want it soft enough for me to do what I'm about to do, which is roll it out into a rectangle. Again, just a little flour. And then 1, 2, okay. 1 more. So with the flap to the right and continue forward. Lightly flour the top each time you do that. 1, 2, 3, 4 turns. Another hour. There we have it. 6 turns in total. That's 729 layers of butter sandwiched between 730 layers of dough. I gotta chill this. All right, 2 hours this time. Chill. One last time, I'm gonna make this filling. Ham. Add 1/4 cup of heavy cream into those 2 egg yolks, a couple drops of Worcestershire sauce, a couple drops of Tabasco, cracks of black pepper, 2 tablespoons of butter. In goes the ham and the minced shallots. Got this memorized. Turn the heat down to low. So I just fold the ham into the cream until it is thickened but not boiled. Lid goes on, off the heat. So it has officially been 2 hours. That was a long wait. But I am very much looking forward to this. I don't want to just, I think putting parchment paper down instead of using even more flour to roll this dough out. With the parchment paper there, it's not going to stick to the surface like it did the first time. It needs to be 18 by 9. I'm going to split this in half. Get this into a 12-inch square. How thick is this supposed to be? Around a 1/4 inch thick. Cut out a 9-inch in diameter circle. Whoa! We can save this for something else down the road, but look at that. I think I'm just gonna stick with the parchment paper the rest of the way. It's just nice knowing it's there. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the fridge. Let's get the next one over here. This is gonna be the top piece, so it needs to be thicker. Okay, so we're looking at a 1/4 inch right now. She says slightly more than a 1/4 inch, but I didn't do that. I think I didn't roll this one out as thin. That's slightly more than a 1/4 inch. What was supposed to be the bottom piece is now gonna be the top piece and vice versa. Because I rolled this one out just a tad too thin and the other one was perfect. So the top piece on my gold platter with the leftover dough, that can all go in the fridge now. So with the balls of my fingers, I just need to pat this out into something larger than it is. All right, I'm going right through the dough in 1/2-inch intervals. Layer of Parmesan, another layer of the ham filling. I think we're learning from the first time that we would like it to be towered up a little higher. More cheese. And the rest of the filling. So from the filling to the edge, that's around 2 inches. Okay, now paint the border with water, and then immediately goes the top layer. Be good to me, please be good to me. Come on, I treated you with respect, please do the same. You are such a little asshole. That's annoying. I'm gonna get the top layer dough into the freezer this time around. I think it just needs a wake-up call. Frickin'. Okay, you know what? You frickin'. So I peeled it off the parchment paper, but it's really Shut up. Everything was going so smoothly, and then you just. All right, here we go. Top piece of dough. Seal it with the fingers. I know that we have to just move fast here. Bull! No time to talk, I'm just gonna focus, okay? First coating of that egg glaze. Wait a moment. I'm gonna put it on another one. I have no time to wait. Or you gotta do that fancy pattern on top. I'm gonna get this into the oven. So 450 degrees Fahrenheit, lower middle rack for 20 minutes, and then after that, I'm gonna turn it down to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for another 20 to 30. Capiche? This is gonna feel really good. Like that. Order up! Let's cut it open. Layers upon layers. I mean, that's the sign of a good pastry, right? Yeah, I think so. It's a very French thing, isn't it? I can just envision myself eating this in France. Having a great time. It's very savory, very buttery, lots of layers and flakiness. The filling is memorized up here, but it's also simple, it's tasty. It's a classic. You really can't go wrong with this recipe. Yes, you can. I was prepared today to go all the way. Like, if I didn't succeed the first time, try again. So I have a lot of butter in the fridge. And I still do, because this classic method uses significantly less, only 3 3/4 sticks of butter. By contrast, the fast recipe here, 6 1/2 sticks. And I made it twice, so it's 13 sticks of butter in total. And I was using the good butter, so. I honestly find that this fast French puff pastry enshittifies the entire puff pastry making experience. Excuse my French. There's something to it with the butter slab and then the rolling and the folding, and you gotta commit yourself. And it takes a long time, but maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. That's where the magic is, because with this, I don't know, I just glue these 2 pages shut and never have to see them again. Now that I'm looking closely at these photos here, maybe we caught Julia in a lie. Because this Pithivier here, the bottom is burnt. And then over here, she's standing with one. It just looks burnt again. So what's going on? Well, I think that's gonna just wrap this video up with a pretty little bow, because I needed closure. That was the whole point of today. It's just no, I'm not gonna rest easy until this thing is done. There's some sort of conclusion here. Needed a happy ending. Damn it. I'm sorry for that. Anyway, this was Jamie and Julia. Bon appetit. Au revoir.